Ask me questions. Ask me questions. Why don't you ask me anything, my dear?
What?
Ask me things.
Oh no, I didn't hear you.
Ask me questions.
What kind of questions?
Questions I can answer.
Let me think. I'll think of something.
When?
Well, tonight. I'll be going out. Maybe at the club I'll think of a thing. I can ask you if you're not asleep when I get home.
You don't have much time.
Don't say that.
I am objective about my condition, my dear. I won't be around to answer your questions, even the ones you don't have, for that much longer.
You're being melodramatic.
My condition is dramatic.
That isn't what I said.
Do you have a question?
Not yet. You must be patient. You must be patient with me, Grandpa. I haven't been gifted with the scope, the breadth.
Your greatest vice, my dear, is laziness. I have always said so. Your potential is remarkable. Why have you never developed it?
Well, surely I was supposed to be the one asking the questions?
You had nothing to ask. It's not about your education or your upbringing. It isn't about playing music or technical ability. It is about engaging with and conceiving of something bigger than yourself. You are afraid of what you might achieve. You are afraid of what I have achieved.
I never said that I understand it. It's too big.
No, but you have some idea.
The composer's growing preoccupation with the public identity of a virtually unknown composer, or rather the lack of it.
Did you hear that?
What?
That sound.
I didn't hear anything. Look, I don't want to talk about your music. I'm no match for you regarding that.
Phoebe. But you could be. You could be yet. Not in my lifetime.
Don't say that.
Oh, you tell me the things I shouldn't be asking you. Tell me the things I should say. Within a month, all of this, these acquisitions of a lifetime will be extinguished. Do you know what will become of me? I will be the sum total of the papers in my desk and in my office. You won't be able to piece me together, not even with all the aunts in the world. Text will give on to text. I will be used for things I never even dreamt of. I will spiral out of your control completely. I will be gone. Won't you
Well,
regret?
experience isn't transferable.
But I am not talking about experience. I am talking on an intellectual level.
I'm no match for you. Look, I could ask you about many things, about your childhood memories, like the ones of the old dark forest with the great massy trees towering up into the green, or the fox you kept as a pet, or the martins that slaughtered your chickens at night, or of your divorce from that venerable woman, my grandmother. Or of your mother. Now, what I imagine is a large, hipped peasant woman squeezing a cow's teat over a pail. I see, as Simon wouldn't, how you too belong to a different age when peasants wore lace on holy days and cars had hoods and grandmother's mother had hats and footmen and dashing German officers could make one disappear.
Yes.
But on this clever level, there's no point. I just wouldn't understand you. If you have something intellectual to say, still, write it down. That way someone who understands can read it and appreciate it like Simon.
Who's Simon?
Oh, Simon.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's all right. He's staying with us now.
No, I asked somebody.
Oh, I don't know. He's related to Megan. He arrived just after her.
Alexandra and Tiffany here as well.
Yes, the aunts are all here.
Oh, I'm asking the questions again in the most banal.
But it doesn't matter to you that your daughters have come to visit?
They are after my things. Where's my Kulka gone? Huh? They won't even read my manuscripts. None of them ask me any questions.
Questions. Have you taken your pills?
Yes.
And you're
Feeling worse. The painkillers send my mind agog. It is as if I were floating through a cloud.
No.
Yes. So this, Simon, do you think he'd understand?
I think he would. Actually, I really don't think he would. Not really.
Oh.
No, he wouldn't see your person. He doesn't know what those chickens look like with their throats ripped out, but you have told me so many times that I actually know. And he wouldn't understand God in the way that you understand God. He would know nothing about your life.
My life?
Your person. Yes, your father's death.
Or mine. Dying without being asked any questions.
Don't say that. Look, you pretend not to get this. I don't reach up to your knee height.
No.
Do you remember that concert? The Glasenov Etude?
Oh.
There were people there, and that happened to me in front of all those people. How do you seriously expect me to ignore that? I mean, I know nothing! Can you blame me? It's all right for you. You've done it all. You have nothing left to achieve, no time to achieve it, and if you did, don't say that. Don't say that.
Exactly that aforementioned anxiety of influence, which has been so discussed by the psychoanalytical tradition of criticism.
Again? Did you not hear that?
No.
Oh, Phoebe. Consider one second the playwright. Huh? And what a playwright must do when he seeks to remove a character temporarily from the stage. It is a pickle, isn't it? He racks his brain on how to do it, invents the most ingenious justifications for removing the character who has become inconvenient to the stage. The poor character is pulled off in all sorts of directions. They are prey to sudden abdominal pains, yes. Or they recall that they have appointments to keep. Or they simply remember that they have forgotten to feed the cat. I have no such justification for leaving you. Nevertheless, it is what I will now do.
Of no less interest is the conveyance of a new character onto the scene just after the used character has left. Another tender point. The arrival of one character and the departure of another needs to have a period of time between it to make it make sense. Huh. Here comes Simon. Hello, Simon.
Phoebe.
I just talked to him.
What did he say?
It's difficult. He wanted to be asked questions again. He expects to be able to talk music with me, but it's impossible. He's asking for the impossible, and he is impossible.
Oh, he's perfectly possible. Hello, Theo? Yes, of course. Of course. Oh, no, really? No, just the third and second movement from the air time. Well, can't you address them semiotically? And then perhaps through a spectrographic analysis? Yeah. No, darling. No, darling. No. That was my friend, Theo.
Oh?
Theo is also very interested in your grandfather. Undoubtedly, Aloys is a great man. His name is very big at the academy now. Did I tell you I study there?
Oh, what do you do?
Study. What I wouldn't do to be encouraged to ask questions of a great man like that. Even if you can't think of anything. Ask him general things. You might always find out something fascinating. Even if you don't. If talking soothes him, let him talk.
But he expects me to understand it.
Just nod and smile. Maybe you'll catch on.
It isn't that easy. He expects me to engage. It's always been like this, and I tried at first. When I was 6, I was handed a violin. I tried playing it.
You were disheartened too early. Should be okay if I smoke.
Oh,
right?
no, it's not good for Grandpa. All right, if you like.
Good for the brain, you see. Makes me think. Would you like one?
No, thanks, but you go ahead. Have you seen a set of keys by any chance?
The violin, eh? Such an aggressive instrument. I always thought mine a whiny, sobbing, squealing bitch myself. All those demons locked up in a wooden box and handed over to a girl who has no idea. Sound hurt the ears. Go on.
finally meet you. I'm Simon. My former wife is Alexandra's second cousin, Tabitha.
You did this, Alexandra.
I met Phoebe at the club last night. That's when we found out.
The club?
An idiotically structured means to certain assets, characterised by expensive alcohol and frivolous music. Go on.
No.
A distinct romantic concern with the production of music, the intellectual impact which is dispersed amongst all its types.
Did you not? Oh, no. No. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was again?
Simon, sir.
Oh, Simon, yes, Simon, like the first Pope, St. Peter, or Simon Magus, yes, or Father Simon, who critiqued the Old Testament, or Simon out of A Lord of the Flies. I think that was his name, the one they spike because they think he's the beast, or whatever it is that's pursuing them. Yes, very interesting. So, Simon, what is it you would like to ask me?
Well, sir, I was wondering what you could tell me about your idea of the idealised role of the unflinching, even elitist composer in postmodern society.
Of course. You should know that neither myself nor my colleagues ever ascribe to popular music taste. Yes, and in this atmosphere of varying degrees of musical ignorance, such an unflinching attitude will almost certainly lead one towards complete obscurity. But I do not believe that this attitude is necessarily decided by the factors at work, but can actually be descended and altered and improved. And it is for this future that I write my work. I do not write into the void.
Grandpa, have you taken your medicine?
Yes. More coffee, please, Phoebe.
I can help you with that, Cuss.
You see, a character being left on stage may be a careful contrivance on behalf of the playwright. It may also simply be that the character is marooned. One character has to go off stage and another go with them because they are a couple, or because they equally detest the character who is left on stage, or maybe because one must murder the other in the wings, or perhaps they are to do something hot and unspeakably necessary to the progress of the play that the stage simply could not bear. Well, the question remains then what to do with the character who is left. Monologue is certainly a viable option. And in a realist drama, this artifice can be concealed by making the character senile and talkative. Such a character could go on vocalizing into the void ad infinitum and ad nauseum. He doesn't actually care if his words find no recipient. He doesn't actually care if his words don't make that much sense. Words such as these, castrated of their meaning as pure noise, can be used to cover sound in almost every situation because every age has its senile old talkers. The hoary Neanderthal and grunt away to himself while he waits for his offspring to return with the mammoth meat. Or the decrepit old Claudius can intone to himself while just off stage the mushrooms are being spiked. Or the aged bourgeois can reflect on his achievements while just off stage his offspring are making coffee or listening to the top 40 on their iPod. Such dreariness, such complacency to almost any ideology that is even minimally, materially attractive.
You never did much studying, did you, sir?
No, well, institutionalized education went by.
Did you not study to become a forester?
Yeah, then I went to the conservatory and then the university.
In your more mature years, of course. Perhaps you even had an unfair advantage over your generation, forestry having prepared you for the intricacies of musical soliloquizing. I can see you alone in your studies, peering into the temporal mysteries of that universally subjective aesthetic realm, into which you were becoming interwoven and leaving messages for those who came after you.
What did you say you were studying again, Peter?
I was at the academy, but I've taken some time off to do some hands-on research. Milk? Gus? You are inextricable now. I've always imagined you as a sort of Gordian Nestor figure, hunched over the first and only rhythmic serialist octet, or Messiaen's modes of limited transposition. Even in your early years, I imagined you a father, supremely patriarchal, papal, a groundwork, yet prismatic, like some gorgeous heavy gargoyle, hunched over your work, tongue hanging out, mind ablur with energy. And I have not been disappointed. That is exactly what you have become. Sir, you are remarkable. You are a phenomenon. I admire you. I respect you. Sir, I am in motherfucking awe at your achievement.
Well, it is nice to be told these things at least once in a while.
I imagine so. Cupcake, Grandpa?
Oh, no. My teeth, you see, they're not what they used to be. But I tell you what, give one to our friend Simon here. Yeah. Well done. Good. And whom did you study with?
In your dreamy, ambrosial conception of the triumvirate of reader, author, and interpreter, you remain the answerer, originator, Gaia, the mother, the warrior, the sage, and the fun uncle all in one. In this realm, I remain the asker, the ideal questioner of ideal questions, whilst you, in your self-constricted magnanimity, remain freely disposed to the offering up of answers.
Surely you're exaggerating a little bit. The music is just what it is.
It never is just what it is, Phoebe. Nothing ever is. You of all the favourite granddaughters in the world should know that. Even in your early years, when I first came across your books in the musicology section of the municipal library, I felt something almost like a aura coming from its pages. Of course, I know this kind of positivistically sensuous discourse is anathema to you, obviously. You're hell-bent against these kinds of near-faith sentiments in aestheticized rationalism, but consider text leading into text. Culture, nothing but a gradually expanding web of strings of discourse, taught on the very bridge of human intellect. Does that not astound you in itself? The text went further, semioticizing the very air around it, affecting its temperature, pressure, the permissivity of light. The disturbance in the microsystem created an epiphenomenal yet integral aura.
Must we rationalize the affair? Can we not just enjoy the phenomenal experience? Must we constantly pay attention to those alien-spotting, attention-grabbing whores who would have us question our own perception? Must we abandon inexplicability altogether with high school science on the one hand and lunacy on the other?
Oh, well, you tell me. I'm just the guy who asks the questions and chews the cud.
Yes.
You couldn't pour us some more water, could you, Cuts?
The passage text is, contrary to your imaginings, a perfectly self-enclosed affair. There is no animating consciousness. The text, unperformed, is by necessity unperceived. Now, what you are imagining is an intelligence internal to the text.
I'm an animist, I admit it. Imagine it. A text. A glorious animal. Superbly complex. Intricate. Laced with terms. Pregnant with meaning. Not giving birth. The text is launched. Suspended. Ready to land. Massively, heavily. Infinitely, intricately.
You sound vaguely terrified of the thing.
Oh, you've actually read the thing?
Read what? No. What happens in it?
In it, nothing needs to.
Oh, like in Grandfather's music?
The work of your grandfather is outside this reference. I speak ontologically, of course. The criteria of my distinction seems generic.
Oh, no, I understand completely. We were talking about playwrights, weren't we? Yes, that's right. They are a source of constant analytical delight to me. Consider the conundra playwright faces when they want to remove a character from the stage. Now, what might a playwright do?
There are myriad alternatives. Cliches swarm around in near indistinguishability. Little capsules of semantic void.
No, but consider them individually. Excretion is a blunt enough way to do it. Smoking is better, especially if someone has placed a smoking sign on set, in which case the whole house must burn down by the end of the third act, preferably without the audience in it. A character may remember all sorts of fears and desires who will lure them away from the limelight. Domestic tasks can be used to remove servants in plays both set in the past and plays set exotically. These actions serve to temporarily sublimate characters into the modern setting, whose actions otherwise would have reduced them to a state of slavery.
Your narrative is too bleak. Surely there are characters in plays who are willing to consent to run and fetch, just as in real life there are creatures who like helping lazy people like myself. Phoebe here is a living example.
Phoebe is indeed wonderful. Phoebe gets the sugar for us.
Oh, I forgot the sugar.
Couldn't run into the kitchen and fetch us some, could you, Cuz?
I'll be right back.
You wanted to speak to me?
Yes, you are exceptionally comprehending. She tries, but her lack of appreciation of her true ability blocks her access to me. She has a wealth of sympathy.
You wanted to speak to me?
Sympathy is hard to come by. I don't think any of my remaining daughters have any whatsoever. I think Phoebe's mother, no, she would have had some if she was still here. She was wonderful. Her husband, well, was her husband. But no. Of all my children, Phoebe is an exception, but of all my children, she was the most receptive to me.
You wanted to speak to me?
Yeah, the others are not receptive. Phoebe has been living here for 18 months and she sees me as the quintessential patriarch. I mean, look at me. Do I look like the quintessential patriarch to you? Now my health is noticeably worse. The others have flocked in. They are after my things. They don't even have the decency to wait until after I'm gone. They seem hell-bent on dismembering me already. Already I have lost a painting and a number of valuable manuscripts. And I won't even mention the books. Fortunately, our literary tastes do not coincide that much, and I believe my musical things are safe.
Oh, I'm sure it isn't so drastic. Your material possessions are by far the least valuable thing about you.
Oh, but the scores themselves are material, and they lead on to the things which you yourself value. My daughters have no interest in stacks of paper disclosing the spirit.
Lo and behold, the animating spirit. The sum of the text is greater than its parts.
Of course, and that is what makes it readable.
Ah, I was hoping you might say something to me on an intellectual level, if you pardon the dichotomy. Something to me specifically, perhaps.
What is it you would like to ask?
I can't quite phrase the question.
Oh, well, if you can't phrase the question, I can hardly answer it now, can I?
No, you don't understand. I'm looking for a key. Or an access point. Or a key to an access point. Or an access point to a key that leads to a door from where I could really start looking.
Oh, no, but what is it you are looking for?
Everything!
Everything! Oh, I'm afraid that's far too much for me. I suggest you go and speak to some other old man.
No, you don't understand. I'm looking for a key to your work.
Oh, you've been reading fiction, and now you are after a key to my work.
Yes, a key. Could you give it to me?
Oh, yes, of course. You mean you haven't seen it already?
No, go on.
Oh, I thought I made it perfectly obvious.
What is it?
Striking. I thought I made it abundantly clear.
No. Hello, Martin? Yes, of course you can. No. Oh, really? No, just the third and second movement from the other time. Well, you can address them semiotic. I don't know, through a spectrographic analysis. Yes. Yes, darling. Yes. Yes, goodbye. That was my friend, Martin.
Oh, I should like to meet your friend, Martin.
Freddy wouldn't be very interested in you. But I am. You were saying?
Was I?
Yes, about the key.
Which key?
Oh, senile animal, the master key. I'm sorry, I get overexcited.
Oh, no. Your exuberance is a great delight to me.
Thank you. You recall now?
Oh, yes, the key.
Yes, the key.
No, don't worry, I'm only teasing. Yes, it really is a very simple... Oh, Phoebe. Oh, good. Have you bought the sugar?
How many cubes do you want?
I will have 3, yes. One for me, and one for you. Oh, lovely. And one for our good friend Simon here. Yes. I've just been telling him all about my work. He seems very interested.
But the key?
Sugar, Simon?
No, thanks.
Oh, no. Give him 4. One for you, and one for me, and one for him, and one as a mark of my special consideration for him. Well done.
This is
Really
very flattering.
Oh, come on, Simon. Call yourself a man, thank you. Can't even handle 4 measly cubes of sugar. No, actually, honey. Do we have any honey?
Oh, no. Aunt Alexandra took it last week.
Oh dear, what a shame.
But the key?
Oh, we're talking about keys?
Yes, you know it?
Of course she does. I've told her all about it already. If she bothers to remember it. Oh, we were talking about playwrights, weren't we? Consider, if you will, what a playwright must do when he wishes to get a large number of characters off the stage. As the number of characters increases, so the complexity of the reasons must increase as well. For example, they all have to go off to fight in a war, or they all wander off whispering to vespers, or they all exude stage right pursued by a bear. Or, if the company is smaller and they have been eating and drinking, they may have to go off to purge in a ditch somewhere off sea. I take my bath at this hour.
Oh, yes, we must be punctual.
Yes, the keeping of time in one's old age is of utmost importance.
Yes, but the key?
Oh, the key. Oh, thank you. Yes. Right then. Actually, I will keep you in suspense until tomorrow to see if you can't work it out if you really think about it.
But I have been the past year and a half.
You still haven't noticed it. How disconcerting. You see, Phoebe here, she recognized it when she was 6, while she was playing Glasenov's Etude in A-flat minor. At a concert, her teacher organized to showcase her pupil's work. Unfortunately, the realization did not survive the Etude. And the entire audience, without exception, thought the thing completely uninspiring. You see, what they didn't realize is that Phoebe single-handedly... Actually, no, I'll tell you the whole story tomorrow. It'll have you screaming with laughter. It's a shame you gave up the violin, Phoebe. You really were well ahead of your peers, although you didn't realize it at the time. And now, I think it's time for that bath.
Won't you give me a hint, at least?
Oh, no hints. And don't you even think about telling him, as you remember.
Do I look like someone who knows a thing about music?
Oh, Phoebe, you undervalue yourself to nauseation. You should take a leaf out of his book. He has no low opinion of himself.
I try to be as accurate as possible in ascertaining my standing.
Oh, as well you should. It is of no mean standing. But, Phoebe here, remains, at least until tomorrow, one step ahead of you. It's just that she doesn't realize it. Or maybe she just pretends to not realize it. Now, for that bath.
Well, it's been running some time. It should be ready.
Oh, go and turn it off. I'll be there in the tick. I have no more to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, my darlings, misreading. Perhaps its importance will justify the formality of such a small conference. Times being what they are, we must satisfy ourselves with a small enough range of perspectives on the life and works of the prolific composer, Tomislaus Aloys. To both my colleagues here today are ascribable paradigm-shifting discoveries in relation to one of the century's most innovative and undervalued composers. My colleague, Theo Aloys, is a lecturer at the Institute for Socio-Historicity, specialising in the decline of pop music and mass media, and the decline of classical music in response. Martin Aloys is a key figure in the phenomenological approach to music, lecturing at the New School of Applied Phenomenology and the Centre for Critical and Cultural Theory.
They have both done pioneering work relating to the varied perceptions of 20th century music, both social and phenomenological, lately revolutionising their approach through analyses of mostly forgotten work of the maverick composer Tomislaus Aloys. Our last speaker, Miss Phoebe Reading, lives abroad, is unwed, and has no erudition or expertise to speak of.
Bravo!
Bravo, very nice.
Thank you, thank you. Aloys's life was divided between his time at the Academy for Musical Arts and the old man's country residence in a more picturesque Highland setting. It is with this more reclusive sphere that his granddaughter is associated. Her influence on his work cannot be underestimated. Phoebe, you are the guest of honour.
Well, it's very lovely of you to invite me, Simon. I must say that I'm really pleased.
And I'm pleased at your pleasure. You have heard of both of these gentlemen before?
Oh, yes. He's told me so much about you. I almost feel, gentlemen, like I half know you already. It's a wonderful coincidence about the surnames, isn't it?
Yes, a remarkable one.
It's not a very common name, is it?
No, it isn't.
There are only 3 families surnamed Aloys in the country. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Yes, I am from one, and Theo is from one of the others, and the third is yours. Yes, a remarkable coincidence indeed.
Yes, very, very remarkable.
It's almost incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, just about liminally credible, yes.
Yeah, a very low probability, yes. And not an impossibility.
No, clearly not, no.
I think that before drawing conclusions, we should start with the facts.
Bravo.
That's a very good place to start.
May I open by asking you, Miss Reading, to clarify the context of the composer's latest production? Under what material conditions did your grandfather actually write?
Well, I'm not sure that I actually understand
The situation, Phoebe, what was it like when you wrote?
There were so many different situations. He had a study, but he didn't always write in the study. What was it like?
Yes, what was the situation like?
What was the likeness of it?
How was the...
Well, I wasn't the one doing the writing.
Of course. Surely that is irrelevant.
What is irrelevant?
Sorry, Phoebe, he didn't mean that your evidence is irrelevant, just that the...
I did.
You did
Maintain the irrelevance of both the circumstantial testimony and the presumed originating consciousness.
Simon, you're gonna have to translate for me.
It's all right, guys. They speak English. Latinate English.
Excuse me. The language of our subject is an issue, not the analytic language.
The two are inextricable.
Which language is inextricable?
No. The question of extrication is a meta-analytical one.
Come on, Martin. Any analysis has to be self-conscious and self-aware. And Theo, show me where, in what part or facet of your theory, it has evidence that it's aware of the social forces that went to form it.
Hypocritical elision of the grossest kind.
Really, Martin? So you can attribute authorial attention to my theory when it suits you. Your theory allows for hypocrisy by denying hypocrisy's true validity. But by my axioms, which are less personally involved, you are a hypocrite indeed.
Who are you to talk of personal involvement? You wish to involve your person into every inquiry to the maximum possible amount, euphemistically referring to the totality of your person as social structures, which goes to shape that inquiry. Egotist.
Egotist? Aye! Hypocrisy again? Hypocrite!
Egotist.
Hypocrite!
Egotist.
Hypocrite!
I think I know where we've arrived. But, gentlemen, I have no idea how we got here, and you've really rather lost me, I'm afraid. I don't think I'm going to be able to help you at all. Well, perhaps I'm being of help now in having you, gentlemen, please sit down off of each other's throats, because really, gentlemen, I must say, being the learned professors, and I really do think of you a bit as if you were sages or shamans or wise old men. And really, you are rather old, but somehow you're no longer in the...
Thrall of propriety. Look at you, you're arguing like little boys. Sit down.
Those are my keys. What I wanted to say was, gentlemen, and please don't argue. I was beginning to think that there actually were a great deal of very good ideas in my grandfather's work, and I would like to know what they are. But gentlemen, I can hardly read music, and I've always had a perfect dread of public performance, which my grandfather never understood, and so I feared him a little, and I was, well, embarrassed, I guess. At any rate, I stopped playing. The theory. Oh, God, I hated the theory, all the maths in it, all those little symbols. But anyway, it doesn't matter now. What I would like to say, gentlemen, is that I'm very interested to hear what my grandfather's ideas were, and I was thinking that maybe you could tell me something, and then perhaps you wouldn't argue?
Traitor! Apostate!
No,
Double-crosser!
No!
Imposter!
No! Look what he said! Phoebe, tell them what he said.
She can't even read!
No, she can't! That's the funny part,
Oh.
you see. But I am positive.
Substantiate your sense of humor instantaneously, whore!
No whore!
And you still haven't seen it. How disconcerting. Phoebe here recognized it when she was 6, when she was playing Glazanov's Etude in A-flat minor at a performance her teacher organized for her students' parents to present her pupils' work. The Etude didn't survive the realization, and with a single exception, the parents in leaving the concert thought her performance entirely uninspiring. What they didn't realize was that she had... No, I'll tell you the whole story tomorrow. You will be screaming with laughter. It's a pity you gave up the violin, Phoebe. You really were well ahead of your peers, though it didn't sound like it at the time. And
Now for that bath. Those words have been haunting me ever since. And then he died, and that was that. And she the only clue. And when he asked her to put him in that bath, he forbade her to give me any hints.
We'll beat it out of her.
She claims not to know. Have you tried?
Simon, I don't
They
think this is a good
wouldn't
idea.
care. Would they? Would you, if I told you that I have?
The sensory discomfort might trigger a reevaluation of the circumstances recollected. However, the amnesiac potential related to severe blows to the head and body is a risk which we ought not underestimate in view of our proximity to the evidential bank which she presents to our inquiry.
You claimed she knows.
You're the next step. I was thinking that conversation with you might bring her to think on things differently. She might see things in another way.
You think that she genuinely doesn't know?
No, Martin, she actually just doesn't know, but you know a lot. So maybe if you give her a brief outline of your overall analyses of Aloys' work, it might make something click.
And then we'll know.
But know what, though? What do you want to know?
Everything you can tell us. Come on. You must know. Be reasonable. You are asking him questions all the time.
No, I told you that I had no interest in
Well,
his
bullshit interest. You had no will. Morality. Ha! Slave morality.
Her interest is integral to her will. Given the consideration of the act in isolation, given the intersubjective nature of linguistically structured thought, is a categorically minded abortion to the natural flow of consciousness. I say, give her a few prompts.
Gentlemen, we shall share everything when it's out of her. Now, having delivered her to your capable and carnivorous lips, I'll academically withdraw. Phoebe, I leave you to my friends, manager.
We will call you for the confession.
I'll be back before then.
He's the middleman. We'll cut him out when it's over.
Will you be paid or something for this?
Of course not. We will produce an academic text. It is a question of gratifying the university press, whereas when it grows cold.
But when there are no proceeds, then why do you...
We are
expect others-
academics. So this is what we do. But we're not here to hurt you.
Can I have whatever Simon's poured?
Of course.
Rash pronouncement from a pregnant woman.
But how?
By analytical methods, my dear. Now sit very still and listen to what we have to say to you. Now I was pointing out to you, Theo, her weak analytical grounding on the basis of her biographical advantage. Now we have gone to shape this with the strict interpretations of trying to get it out of her.
Good musicological research.
Yes. And we have come to a conclusion.
Now the conclusion is what I said we should do in the first place.
Please, please.
I remain perfectly calm. I am stating an objective fact.
An objective fact. Ha! In relation to the past, history is but a set of interpretations. How can an event not present be empirically verifiable?
Well, but then the future would only be a set of hypotheses. Or wouldn't it?
Of course. Are you an internalist or something?
I believe in God.
A thief? In the Christian sense?
Well, yes, of
How
course.
curious. Is that creditable?
Oh, absolutely. It's convoluted, but nonetheless credible.
I haven't argued a theist since my academy days. Have you ever considered the process of cultural silting that's made your church vestigial and redundant?
But my grandfather, he also believed in God.
Absolutely not.
But he did. I'm absolutely certain that he
Believe
did.
in God?
It's impossible. It doesn't tally with me. Does it tally with you?
No. It's quite impossible. It doesn't tally with me.
Then it tallies with me now. Miss Reading, you are wrong.
But I know this. Whatever theory you have about the past, sir, for a fact.
Clearly, she knows even less than we thought.
So we begin our explications with the biography. Paradoxical.
But possible. Sit very still. When Theo and I began considering the vast range of text, scores, and recordings that trailed Tomislaus Aloys, we perceived that in the composer's mid-20s, direct inversion of Stravinsky's bassoon opening of The Rite of Spring was regularly integrated into the opening sequences of his pieces.
Right. The consequent progression, 2-1-3, is a reduction of the duet of thinking and feeling into the indivisible or the sun, which is a perfect art. Hence, the 21st of March is the birth of the...
No, the 21st of March
Sit
was
very still! The question of primary sources, textual or oral, was a result in the face of Aloys standing as a man who, unlike the majority of 20th century composers, fully understood the self-destructive balance of meaning.
Present by default in every text is a subversive foundation of any discourse in which ambiguity is only well disguised.
But that's not possible.
Very still! Seldom accounts supplied by mediators and transference of data were circumvented.
We have no reason to believe he would not falsify these very remarks based on the established mode of kinship which he tried to subvert. The conclusion?
Repression of exactly that aforementioned anxiety of influencers had been so discussed by the psychoanalytical tradition of criticism in relation to textual artifacts and an inborn distaste for conflict.
Awareness of the modificatory role of social structures on individual aesthetic apperception motivates Aloys' emphasis on the crucial standing of musical education. You don't understand unless you're taught how. Nevertheless, in evidence is a distinct romantic concern with the production of music, the intellectual impact of which is dispersed amongst all extant social structures.
Quit whining and listen up, puss. You ought to know that the perceived consciousness is conceived of according to the Kantian model.
But Kantian...
Very still! Of that awareness which is able to access the universally subjective aesthetic realm of which the aesthetic object holds within itself. The ideal listener is bare, devoid of such a protective layer, and ready to be embodied in the most perfect way possible.
The newfound comfort at the very end of his life is insightful, so that the numerological solemnization of analysis must be informed by methods more useful for Aloys, rhythmically encoded semantic gestures.
Well, you don't say.
I do!
Well, what else can you tell us? Are you going to try to trump us with what we all know already? He hasn't guessed yet that his confluent analysis read conjunctives yield a long, shadowy figure entering the musical space of the composer, signaling a growing animosity towards the domestic presence.
Oh, Martin. So you've been reading it in a rhythmically encoded noun.
Granddaughter or gardener. The rhythmically encoded noun is unclear. But in any case, the signified is involved with flowers. Measurements for ratio of whirl diameter to style mean hints at an uncommonly large structure with a thin, erect stigma and perhaps a gaping receptacle. My guess, if you want to know, is...
Malva?
Theo. Clever boy. Hibiscus.
I thought so. Roses and incense.
The perpetual accuracy of our findings, which in cases contrast with but proves sounder than the traditional biographical methodology, is due to the postulated conceptual genius of our composer. It hints at what is revealed between those ink lines and reveal the material reality of the texts.
All these things are true. If you believe in truth. Stiller than still. Underlying our general approach is a simple empirical observation to note the encryption in the great man's last string quartet of the intimation that the eagle ought go and reign in any posthumous discussion of his work. I will therefore now explain how we got to this conclusion. Exploitation, the paradigm of semanticized intertextuality, lies behind the composer's didactic methodology, as attested by an array of quotations from Janacek's string quartet, the Kreutzer Sonata.
It tells of the man's despotic ego, towering over a weak woman's existence. The same despotic ego the composer ascribed imperatively to his interpreters. The last sketches for his opera betray a gradual disintegration of the divide between art and life, between receptive and creative, between public and private, cold and hot, dry and wet.
Perhaps more importantly, the problem of the socially undeterminable becomes a common feature within his last few statements. If, in fact, the author is but a product of his determining factors, he has nothing more to encode than what he's determined to encode. Don't look at me like that!
No, go on. You were saying something interesting.
No! Leave me alone! We can't carry on like this, Martin.
Shut up and carry on.
But why are you so cruel to me?
Shut up and start talking.
Martin, please!
Talk!
Martin!
Maybe if you
Don't whine, bitch!
The author, as a product of extra authorial factors.
Yes, I think I was saying about the composer's concern with the dialectical nature of the problem of free will. Self-reflexivity, instrumental to the continually progressive development of its argument. Ultimately pressed towards a goal at the end of its life to conglomerate, evaluate,
Finally.
conclude.
Simon, where were you?
Got held up at the bar. You see, I only drink syrup straight.
The direct link between sweet frivolousness and fond escape of tying up and anti-materialistic showmanship in postmodern culture was one that Aloys was distinctly aware of.
And yet he never failed to recognise the most central themes, and even the most melodramatic of texts, particularly when associated with those closest to him, who may have something to do
with flowers. A common Italian symbol for grace, youth, fertility, femininity.
The floral presence was something we saw immediately in his last few works.
Oh, don't be so clever. You contributed nothing to the retranslations of those synesthetically encoded hues from Newton's color chart.
But I saw it was based on a circle of fifths. You just did the shoveling.
You referred to my preparation of the rubrics?
I'm just calling a spade a spade.
Oh! He's a hypocrite, Simon. Don't listen to him. These pictorially encoded
I am
hues-
quite sure of one thing. I do not understand you, gentlemen. What I do understand is that you are trying to make me understand, to understand something that is over and above what you actually say. But gentlemen, I don't understand what you say. So how can I understand something that is over and above that?
Over and above your understanding. But Phoebe, how? How can you not understand music?
Oh, dear Miss Beathe. The phenomenon of understanding was never far away from the conceptual center of Aloys' work, particularly concerning the possibility of a pre-linguistic semantic construct, music, and its functioning within a system of society.
Give up, boys. The bitch is spent.
Feminist solidarity is patent from the work, Simon. So why not treat her to a taste of this rational motherfucking discussion? The ancient province of the patriarch. However, it must be said, of course, that the composer's relationship to women,
Certain women...
most women, was fragmentary and conflicted, as is inferable from the second string quartet's connection with Janacek, in which he embedded the name of his recently deceased and probably Indian wife and guru, Anna, which makes her connect with Tolstoy's famous suicidal heroine. Sounds familiar to us, Theo? But with the chromatic figurations in the lower register of the genre.
These suggest a malicious and desirable presence within his own creative psyche. Many believe these aspects of the composer's oeuvre to be redundant.
Come here, Simon the boy. The true redundancy of these facets lies in their epiphenomenal connection to the narrativity of Aloys's symbology, whether pertaining to his personal or his public life.
Of course, having established the problematicity of the composer's public persona, we have come to place these two evaluative text worlds within a single phenomenal context.
There still remains the issue of the composer's inhibited regrets, which we cannot musicologically determine.
Phoebe, the key, please.
The key to fit into the lock.
We have determined the nature of the lock.
Of course, the progeny of the subject. The subject himself treats the question analytically, evaluatively, with unflagging scrutiny.
In question is not how the subject himself treats his productions, but what drives the music attests to.
What drives does it attest to?
The gender contrapositive of the Oedipal motif in the formative stages of the late period.
The H-man's influence over a defenseless female is coterminous with the motif of peace and loss.
The fantasies implied within the ratio of pause percentages between acts in the last symphony, the regal, are violent, crypto-rapist.
The interpreters of the great man are to be lifted up to become great men themselves. Aloys's work is patently life-affirming.
And a codicological analysis of these manuscripts reveals purely palimpsestic micro-scratches, which, if highlighted, reveal phallic shapes.
And guess what? It pertains specifically to those synesthetically encoded hues that denotes the
floral presence!
Impressive.
Oh, We are ever so responsive to our subject.
The
Are
great
we
man.
not?
We are always learning from him. He's something to aspire to.
And to emulate. The subject himself dictates as much. Of course, certain variations on the pervasive theme of crypto rape are inevitable, given by interaction and modulation affected by current modes of decorum.
Yes. That is why we have been keeping this passionate air. Our formal setting begs it. But nevertheless, Simon here is on a different footing with our guest of honor, and to our forced formality, he is immune.
Yes, Simon is immune.
I hope that Miss Reading has been following all of this.
Ooh, that would decisively have been a wise move on her part.
Were she constitutionally capable of it?
Now, our subject is convinced that a question of understanding is one of education.
Our subject is a completely different voice. Our subject himself is a completely different matter.
Do you perceive meta-situationally?
He asked you a question, woman.
Well, my boy, that's it with all the poetics and hermeneutics. We've done our job. Now you.
Get your teeth into her.
A light would be good any time now, Gus.
You have the lighter.
Light me a light from my lighter.
Light his light.
Shameless letters! The Lord hath proffered you the countenance of his limitless grace, and yet you will not forsake profaning your souls through appetite. Hell fire awaits those who do not repent, sulphurous pits, and eternal damnation. The left shall be sorted from the right, the goat from the sheep, the chaff from the wheat. The blessed soul shall walk apart from those whose lips have fastened to the anus of the Baphomet. Cower! Cower, scum! And cleanse your mouths with wholesome prayer. Ye confessors, ye saints, ye blessed virgins, all those look upon you and weep. Have you no shame, Lecture? I tell you, yet I would rather suffer the wounds of Saint Augusta, yet I would rather live with that aged devil again, yet I would rather be wedded with Belial himself ere I get near his prick, you prick.
Listen to the slut talk.
Dogma!
Dogma and damnation.
Catholic dogma!
Dissolute prude.
Flagellant!
Whore.
Whipper!
Do not move. Phoebe, now is just about time. I think we all agree that you should light my light.
The omnipotent Father perceives your corruption, and all heaven is filled with rage.
Hell's mouth, woman, awake to the modern mind.
Madman! Curb the flesh and quake in awaiting the judgment. Banish your senses lest you burn in eternal fire. That flame gives no light, man, but sears the soul with intenseness sublime.
Bless her. But now is, I think we all agree, way past the time that you should have lit my light.
I would rather suffer the torments of Domenica than get near your concupiscent flesh. Swine! You rat in iniquity!
Do it!
Lecture!
Whore, light his light. Lights.
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 I haven't got my lighter.
Is it a cut?
Simon, you switched it off.
Leaning on the wall.
I have the switch.
Switch it on.
Aren't you scared?
Do as he tells you.
Are we splitting?
There's nothing to split.
She's gone.
Has she?
Felt her. Rushed past me.
She's gone.
Has she?
Felt her. Rushed past me.
Switch on the lights.
So we can find her.